part of a couple of the videos that I made, and you can only hear a little bit of it. Oh, great. Oh, this is the wrong hill for me to try to climb up to get a tea light. Walking up sideways. Yep, it's a tea light. Tea candle. I give these away to homeless people. I got a bunch of them real cheap. This is probably not one of mine because it's got a different bottom on it, but I recognize what it was. Okay, so yesterday I had to work on my vehicle a bit, and I was able to get it running. I had the hood still open though, and a young man showed up who knew a thing or two about my car, and he was able to give me a lot of insight. He's pretty young though. I'd assume based on his knowledge that he's at a high school, but there's no guarantee. There's a possibility that because of his heritage that his family was a lot more actively involved in his education at home. May have included working on vehicles. Now, this young man was not only useful and helpful, he bought my old battery off of me. He said he'd give me the $10 for a cord charge because he'd just take it in. Worked out for me because I didn't have anywhere to put it. Yeah, there's something to be said for that. Of the 7 times that I needed a jump from somebody, all 7 times it was somebody Hispanic who was able to get me going and started. It was somebody Hispanic, mostly people who barely spoke any English at all, who stopped and helped me. So then there was a lady, and I should probably say that young man who was very helpful and very useful and very insightful, he's got the same name as one of my best friends from childhood, Fernando. It was a good name. Then there's another lady, and she was talking to a lady. They don't look like siblings, but they sounded like siblings. And I was right behind them in line, and I said, "You're a Martinez." And the lady was pretty surprised to know that I was aware of her last name. Well, the lady she was just talking to has it right on the back of her hoodie, Martinez. So it wasn't difficult to put 2 and 2 together. Yes, they're sisters. I said, your last name is Martinez, and she smiled and she was proud of it. I think that's a good thing. We got a long history. Well, I'm in Washington State. This is former Mexican territory, but it goes even further back than that. In 1774, we had ourselves a little scuffle with the English. By 1776, it had resulted in the Declaration of Independence. So, let's go forward a few years. Louisiana and Mexico and all that, it's all Spanish territory. 1784, the El Cazador, aka the Hunter, was sank off of the coast of New Orleans, about 50 miles off the coast, with, well, a whole bunch of freshly minted coins from Mexico City. They were on their way to boost the economy. Well, when the El Cazador sank, that forced the Spanish to sell most of their holdings west of the Mississippi River. They sold the Louisiana Purchase, later on Napoleon did, to us. And that's how we ended up with a lot of, well, Nebraska, for example. We ended up with a lot of land that was bought from Spain. Not that the Spanish or the Americans or the French cared that there was already people living there. So, let's fast forward. We got the Spanish-American War, gave us a little bit more territory. We had ourselves a little war with Mexico that people don't want to remember. And that gave us all the rest of it. So there's a lot of Hispanic folks whose families have been here, some of them since before the United States was a nation. Many of them were on the land before it was a part of the United States. And you know what? Having a Hispanic last name does not make you Mexican. Just like anyone else, we all got last names. I remember when I was trying to help find Selena Not Afraid, a lot of people were making fun of her last name because it's Not Afraid. And then their chief there, chief of police, is Chief Big Hair. And a lot of people didn't like those last names and thought they were funny and wanted to make fun of them. And, well, Martinez ain't much different. It's a different name than a lot of quote-unquote white Europeans are used to, but many of us have last names that are not traditional. I actually know a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy with the last name of Wu. W-U. Guess where his ancestors are from? Well, on his dad's side, his dad was, I want to say, half Korean. But I never dug into that, never really asked a whole lot. I mean, he does have, he has Asian features. You can tell that he has some Asian in him, but he's got freckles, he's got blonde hair, he's got pale skin, he's got the last name of Wu. He's got some pretty jokes about it too, or pretty good jokes. Now, when it comes down to heritage, you know, America is supposed to be a mixing pot, but it's not. We got a lot of victims in the United States that aren't getting any help, that are being ignored, and the laws are not changing to reflect the way that these laws are being abused. Or many of these laws just simply have no teeth. Like the disability laws, there's no teeth. 6 years of making phone calls trying to get help. There's no teeth. Sure, these things are illegal to do to me, but, well, it's even more illegal because I'm disabled. But then again, because I'm disabled, it's easier to get away with it. All they have to do is use the words mentally ill. And automatically people start thinking violent schizophrenics and people like Ted Kaczynski and people like Jeffrey Dahmer, and Jesus, you guys got a lot of screwed up stuff in your head. Our American heritage has a lot of Spanish heritage in it, has a lot of Mexican heritage in it. When it all comes down to it, at the end of the day, we're all still Americans. Nationalism, however, is a nasty bias. The idea that we're better than you because of where we were born, or we're better than you because of our last names. These same people also want to spout this, oh, nobody's better than anybody. Really? That depends on whether or not you think that set of pretty words there will win you an argument. Kind of like when people want to argue with me about situations I was there for. Well, you're not going to win that argument. I was there, you weren't. End of fucking story. But you want to judge people, don't you? You want to judge the homeless. You want to judge the disabled. You want to judge the Mexicans, as you call them. When the laws that are supposed to protect us, they can change one word. They can change the word disabled to ill, and magically it is okay to victimize us. We must be the bad guys. You must be the good guys. We must be wrong. We must have it wrong in our heads. We must have hallucinated it, and so on and so on and so on. And our predators push this so that you won't listen to us. And because you don't listen to us and refuse to listen to us, refuse to care about, C-130. No, that's even bigger than the C-130, ain't it? When you're called mentally ill, you need someone on your side who actually cares. Otherwise, you're not going to get heard. It doesn't matter how much evidence you have if nobody is willing to do anything with that evidence, because you're not allowed. And people keep pulling that, you have to do it yourself, Sean. I'm not allowed. When you're called mentally ill, you're not allowed. You're not allowed. You're not fucking allowed. The only time that you are allowed is if someone is there and present with you and helping you with it, or you are going to be ignored. This is how this country works. You all take your shit out on the people who it's easiest to take it out on. The people nobody cares about. That'd be the homeless. The homeless and the disabled are number 1 and number 2 spots for being murdered by police. They're number 1 and number 2 spots for being murdered by serial killers. They're number 1 and number 2 spots for being victimized by you, the American public. You care about the elder laws, children's laws, black laws, women's laws. Meanwhile, the most victimized people in this country are the homeless, and they comprise people from all of those groups. Our Mexican heritage is here to stay. These are our people, whether you want to see them as people or not. The same goes for the disabled. The same goes for the homeless. The same goes for blacks. The same goes for women. We are all human beings, God damn it. It's time you start listening to us instead of pretending that we're not human, not worth listening to, not worth our human goddamn rights. 1776, a whole bunch of people got together, picked up their rifles, and fought for a bunch of rights that there are still people in the United States who are not allowed those rights. People like me. No, I'm not going to shut up about it. Oh, Black Hawk helicopter. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Anyway, we're all human beings, regardless of what argument you want to present. They need to get jobs. They're all on welfare. They're taking our this, they're taking our that. You know what? Maybe if you'd spend less than $50 a night at the bar, you wouldn't be broke. It ain't them Mexicans' fault you're an alcoholic.